What's up? Sorry, I am late. Um, I actually just got. I didn't know if I was even going to be able to do this live feed. I got stuck at the store. I took my bike to the store, and I had left the key on. Battery was dead, and I got it started. And I thought the run there would be enough to charge the battery, but apparently it wasn't, and I couldn't get it to pop start. It was a big headache, but I'm here now. I apologize. Sorry for that. Um, and I am so incredibly unprepared that took up a whole bunch of time that I didn't really have. So we're gonna do this anyway. Move this a little closer so I can actually see them. Shut the door. Okay. Jay, what's going on? So Jay is I think that's the same channel that I was watching. I think I just subscribed to your channel. Um, I think it's the same one. Yeah, I just watched your short um, about the new climbers. I like that. There was a lot of really good info in that. I'm gonna do it like just a video, a tutorial on someone climbing, and I have some of it. I still have a lot of it that I need to go over, but um, yeah, I'll put that out soon. But yeah, there was a lot of good stuff in that. Like the info was solid and the direction was really good. So yeah, that's cool. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I thought it was you. I thought it was you. Climber Clint, what's going on, brother? What's up, brother? So I don't have the tip and trick. I'm doing all right, man. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna show you 3 ways to store, wrap up your ropes, um, or slings that are really nice and compact and clean looking. So, first one we'll do is the sling. This. So the way I usually do it is I'll find like that halfway point and then split the rope into quarters. And I usually leave about the last quarter of the rope. And like this is the same technique that you'll use to wrap an axe and get to where you can hide the string and stuff. So it's a real cool technique to have, and I really like it for storing my slings. It's so nice and compact. But what's going on, James? Greg Brown, what's up? There's my guy. Thrown in a rope bag. I'm lazy. Right on. Yeah. So what you do is you'll make a loop up in the rope. You want to have an end to grab a hold of, and what you're going to do is you're going to wrap this, and then you're going to put the tail through this little loop, and then you'll be able to actually tighten it with this end. So what I would do would be, I think I had maybe some leftover. I don't know which way. Yeah, I'm gonna do it shorter. No, okay. So like this, and then you just go down here. You can turn it upside down even if you want, and start wrapping. Your first one is going to be a little tricky, and then the trick is just basically keeping this thing tight as you continue to coil it down. I'll show you it after I get a few in there, and I'll try to keep up with comment. Jay says all his are thrown in a rope bag. He's lazy, but you know, if they're in a rope bag, man, that's as good as it gets. I have a Weaver rope bag that I've had for almost a decade, and it still looks brand new. It's held up so good. I have a tree stuff one that fell apart immediately, and then I actually sewed it together with wire, and it still works. But so you start to get this. You're still wrapping. You still got your loop here. I have shitty signal where I'm at, so I may disappear a time or two. Oh, nope, that's, hey, no worries, brother. I appreciate you guys stopping in. But yeah, this technique works I like to use it mainly on my slings, and I think I probably should have done it shorter instead of making it long. Yeah, I should have. But you'll keep wrapping, and this will make it a little more obvious though as we do this. So you wrap until you run out of rope, and that'll be the same way with an axe, except for with the axe, you'll wrap wrap it up, and this will be here, and like the head of the axe is here. Okay, so you'll get to this part, you'll go and you'll take the end of the rope, you'll put it through that loop like that, and rest it in, and then grab the tail, and you can. I have to kind of use my knees, but I'll show you the last part of it as it pulls together. That loop's a little too big. So just like that. So then it starts to, you pull it the rest of the way in. And if you were wrapping an axe, you would keep pulling on that and it would pull that rope into there, and you hide one end of the rope and it's knotted and it can't come undone. So I should have made it a little longer. I wouldn't have this leftover string, but that's like 15 foot wrapped up in a little coil, and they store really nice, and it's really easy to get undone. All you do is wiggle that out, pull that tip out, and then unwrap. So that's a way to do the slings. It's really clean and nice looking. They store on the outside of bags really well. Like you could take this and tie it on the outside of a bag, and then you're no longer stuck up in there. But yeah, that's the way I usually like to do it. Or some people will just wrap their slings up regular. You can do it a bunch of different ways, or you can daisy chain, which I'm sure most of you know. I'll show a little bit of it real quick, and then I'll show you how I actually store my rope. So daisy chain, I just take the rope, twist it, make a loop, and put a loop in. Make a loop, put it through. Make a loop, put it through. And you just keep repeating that until you get all your rope taken up, or as much as you want. Say you wanted to shorten the rope a little bit, or you're using, a lot of times I end up using this with my lanyard on the back of my saddle, but even more than that, if I'm using a spider leg and I want the spider leg to be out of the way but I don't want to take it off, a lot of times I'll do something like this. Or I got the tail of a sling and there's too much tail left, so you took 15-foot rope and turned it into that little coil there. You could dress it and get it all nice and pretty if you wanted, but some people do that with their extension cords. I personally don't think that's probably the best idea. I think I've messed up some extension cords trying to do that, and I broke the wire. But daisy chain is clean and simple. Yes, and it's very efficient and quick to do if you know the technique. But then when it comes to just wrapping my ropes up, I'm very simple. Hold in my palm, make, depending on how small or short you want your coils, you just stretch your arm, grab it, and when I bring it in, I twist. And that's how I end up with like clean loops. I think most people go like slide and grab it and keep a hold of it real tight, and then their loops get all crisscrossy like this. But if you're doing it, and as you stretch your hand and you bring it in, you roll that rope in your hand. See, it does the coil for you. And I just roll the rope in my hand. You'll keep all of them nice. But how I store mine, I make my coils, and then I take the end of the rope, I cross it over it, around, cross it over it, around, and then I go right over the top of that first coil. And what that does is it puts that part into a bite. I finish wrapping until I have just a little tail left. I take that tail and I feed it through the hole, a loop of it, and I daisy chain this tip here like that, and I keep daisy chaining until I use up all the rope that I want to use up. But what's nice about it, you're stored, it's all nice and clean. When you're ready to use it, you can pop that off, grab it, and now you're good to go. Throw your rope down and get it. But there's 3 ways to store your ropes. Probably not my best trick or tip, but I'm struggle city here, guys, so that's what I came up with. But yeah, I promise next week the trick or tip will be much better. I'll put a little more time and effort into it, But like I said, I just literally pulled up. My hands are covered in grease. Yeah, it's what it is. I'm so sorry about this. I'm having to move the camera, make you motion sick, but and also the other thing, I don't know what it was. The other thing I was going to talk about, I had something really important. It was something like that goes on in the like I thought it was the greatest topic. I'm like the whole live feed will go good with that, and I can't remember it. I don't even remember what I was watching when I got the idea. But hangman knot, is that what the? Oh yeah, that would be. Yeah, that's basically what that is, isn't it? Yeah, it works really good for when you're wrapping axis. You know, you just start up the handle. If we have the head up here, you go down the. There's no other way. The handle. I was gonna call it a shaft. The handle. You go down the handle a little bit. You know, as far as you want to go. That's 4 or 5 inches, and then start wrapping that coil up. After you take and you make a. You know, you have the axe head. You know what? We have this now. So if you have the axe head, oh, it's gonna be such a good picture too. That's a wild one. Okay, so can you see my axe? There's the axe. So you would start with your coil on it. This is not gonna work. And then have as much string hanging down as however far you want it to go up the handle there. So you would put it like sort of like that, and then start wrapping on the handle around, 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 around. And then as you go around one of them times, you'll take the end of the rope and pass it through that hole, and then grab this other end. And as you pull down on that, you'll have a full wrap on your stuff here. It'll be all wrapped up, all nice and pretty. And that as you pull that loop here in by pulling the string here, you'll hide the other end of the rope inside here, and you just clip that piece off. And then you have, oh, that glare was stupid. I thought all that. So you have the stitching, you have the loop, you keep wrapping, you take the end of it, you pass it through there, and then you pull on this part, which will hide the knot down in here, and then it'll be flat across there like you want. You'll have this perfect little notch thing here. You just have to cut this little piece of string off. But I like to do it to all my axes. It seemed to help them a lot. So just once again, it's another thing that kind of transfers from one thing to another. Jeffrey Perkins, what's going on, brother? What's up, brother? One pet peeve is in a canopy and ropes and gear get caught on everything. One pet peeve is in a canopy. Ropes and gear get caught on everything. Yeah, that's the reason. Like, I keep a kind of a small loop for my lanyard. The excess lanyard that hangs off the back, I actually daisy chain that and then clip it back to the back of my saddle. I prefer when I have my speedline straps, I wrap them all up the way I've showed you guys, where you braid them and then clip them together. I want very, very minimal stuff hanging down because it is so aggravating to get hung up and drop your weight down, and all of a sudden you're hanging off a speed line strap that's back here. Yeah, so I totally get where you're coming from, Jay. That's one of mine too. I just like whatever I'm doing to be very clean and like orderly. Maybe it's an OCD thing. I just think that's just me. I prefer to be very clean with the stuff I do when it comes to doing something sketchy. because I can think clearer when everything's like that. You know, if it's messy, I got a cluttered brain. I'm not able to think correctly. But stupid spell check. Yeah, I know what you meant, Jay. I have to. I've gotten good at translating back from what spell check has done to people. It does it to me all the time, so I get where you're coming from. Do your example of getting your line back with your treble hook. Oh, yeah, yeah, I could show that. Um, hmm. Yeah, I would have to go get some stuff out. You know what? It'll just take me a second. Let me go get that because that is kind of a fun one to do, and we can do it in like detail. And this little trick can be useful for isolating a limb up in the canopy because, like, when you throw your rope up over, say you hit the right limb, but as it comes down, the issue ends up being that it goes over a whole bunch of limbs that you weren't really maybe wanting to go over, and you can't then isolate the branch the way you would want to. So yeah, let me go get that real quick. It's just sitting in my truck, so it'll just take a second. Here, I tell you what, I can do this on a drawing instead of going and getting all that because I'd have to move the camera around a whole bunch for you guys, and I don't want to make everybody like motion sick. But let me grab some colored markers. That way we can tell some stuff apart. But this little trick is very nice. I like it a lot. It's helped me, and I got to do my first transfer, which you'll have to look all that stuff on something else. But like, there's a technique of traversing. It's where you're almost like army style. You're just clipped in with your saddle, and you're traveling across the line, and you're just bear claw or bear climbing. And then what you do is you leave slack in the line, and you take the line and you like it's on pulleys, and you slide it around each branch until you get your climbing system back to you. Because like originally it's over here, I unclip off my climbing system and then clip in with preferably a screw locking carabiner onto the double roped after you get it going around from tree to tree. Clip those two together and then bear climb on that all the way over to the other crotch, the other tree. After you get over to the other tree, you have some slack in that rope. You just take and move the rope over and just spin it and get it to go around until you can travel your climbing system back to you. Then you can unclip the system, pull the rope out, get it back over, and then tie yourself into the other tree. But yeah, we'll do that as a. What's up, ground pounder? Here, I'll show you though. Just how that works. It's pretty simple and pretty easy to show, and I can do it a little easier here probably than when uh when I actually did it on a video, which will be nice. I feel like sometimes the videos get too like herky jerky and it gets a little crazy. I have a gnarly ash tree coming up. It is so incredibly rotten, so bad, and it's monstrous. So much rigging, and it is gonna be crazy. But yeah, anybody get into anything real good this week? I've seen Dano put out some good stuff. Um, Anybody else? All right, I'm just gonna draw two trees real quick. Okay. So what you're going to try to do here is you're going to try to, we say 21 oak, son of a gun. Right on, man. 11 Lombardy poplar to remove. Got 5 down today. Hell yeah, Jay. That is so awesome. So you're trying to get, a lot of times you're going, like, let's say you're in this one and you want to get to this one. So what you're going to do is, let's say we put a climber here. We can put him in blue. Okay, so this guy here, out on that limb, and he takes a throw ball. He throws the throw ball. Yeah, Lombardy poplars are really fast growers. I agree, ground pounder. So you throw your throw ball. Say you hit this limb here, and it starts to come down. So okay, so here's what you end up with. All right, you threw your throw ball string, and I actually have a small one that I keep in a little pouch, and I'll grab that one. It's just coiled up real small, but you throw it over. You've went around the backside of the limb. Thanks, Jeffrey. Pounder. I want to stay with you guys' comments too. So those Lombardis are fast growers. Okay. Okay. So you've thrown. You chucked it over. It went over that limb. So you're gonna try to do a transfer now from this to this. You know, here's where this gets a little complicated, but you can definitely figure this out. It's not that hard. So you're here. I think I have, let me grab one. It's right here so I can actually show you what it looks like. Actually, I thought it was right here. Where did I put that? I had another treble hook. Dang it, don't tell me that I can't find it right. Son of a gun. It was just right here. I don't even know how I've misplaced it already. Oh, here it is. Awesome. I'm so sorry. Forgive me. Some doofus tops in there all day. Oh, dang, that sucks. Alright. So we've thrown over. Now, what's going to happen here? Now, the tricky part is you're here, and unless you can lower that all the way down, have your ground guy take it over, hook it to this end, and you can pull it up. What if you're alone? If you're alone, there's where the issue happens. So I'm going to show you how to, if you're here, I'm going to show you how to get this back by staying up here. So what you're going to do is you need to make sure, the things you need to know is how wide is this limb here. So you're going to put a little loop in your rope right here. You're going to tie a little loop. And on the end of that loop, you're going to put a treble hook. Just a regular, you can get a fishing treble hook. That's what I used. What I did with it is I think I cut the tips. Yeah, I took a little pair of wire snips and I clipped one of them off. Where's the camera on this thing? You can see how that one's blunt and been smashed down. And then these other ones are stupid sharp. But cut the tip off. I smashed it down. And then I bent it over a little bit. So what you do is I've shown you guys how you girth hitch stuff with a string, but let's say this is a little knot. The way you girth hitch, you take your loop, you tie a loop in the line, and then you just take that loop, put it together, pass it through and over the top of whatever it is. You could use throw ball or this. So that's why I suggest learning that way to put your throw balls on, but then you're tied on. So this is what's actually hanging from this little loop right here that I'm going to show you. Let me see here. All right. We'll put a little treble hook. Okay. So this is what you're seeing right here. Now, this right here has to go. What'll happen is this ball, you start to lower it. This will then travel over here. You need to make sure you have enough distance. And as it gets there, it's going to take itself, swing around, and grab this other line, and then you can pull it back to yourself. You need to make sure that you have enough distance here to let the ball down and that this will make it there. You know, because if this is short and the ball hits the ground, it's no longer going to pull this over anymore. When the ball hits the ground, this doesn't travel anymore. The other thing that you need to know is how big to put a loop in there. How far does this need to hang down? It needs to hang down, the loop, this part here, the length of this, needs to be long enough so that it can wrap around. Ow, I just stuck that in my finger. Damn it. It needs to be able to wrap around this branch. So that loop needs to be long enough as this starts to go across the line. It's dangling, you lower the ball, it goes around. And as soon as you get it close, I kind of let it go a little faster so that this whips. And it whips and it grabs the red line. And then it starts to, after it gets there, it grabs that red line. It's here. So what's happened now is you let that thing out. Oh, hang on. That wouldn't be like that. It would be much further, wouldn't it? And the ball made its way all the way down to here. And this rope got much shorter. So now what you've done is you've lowered that thing over there until it's swung around and it's grabbed a hold. So now what you're going to do is pull the hook back to you now. And what'll happen as you're pulling this hook back, it'll go around the limb. It'll come back. So what's happened now is you've started to pull it back and you've gotten it all the way to here. You need to make sure it's long enough to get back to you. I guess technically that should have been a little longer. That doesn't even look like it'll ever get there. But it's close. So it's made it about right there. You just keep pulling it until you get that ball all the way back to you. What's nice is I just tie, when I'm tying the knot in the rope, the string, I just take a double overhand and I just tie a loop like that in the rope. Okay, so then I can take that, pass it through the hole over the top of everything, and cinch it down. And remember, that needs to be long enough to be able to get around that branch that is going to grab the other side of that hook or the string and pull itself back to you. So long term, what you end up with is, oh shoot, I used the wrong color. Thought it was good. Um, yeah, long term, what you end up with is the rope coming back now. So here's what you end up with. You get it all the way back to you. You got the hook. You got the throw ball back, and it works really good. Even if you just wanted to set yourself a second tie-in over here, maybe you don't want to traverse, but you would like to have a full tie-in over in your DRT. This is a quick process. If it's set up right, it does it very quick, very easy, and works really nice. So what you end up doing with this, how I traversed, is after I got the red rope back to me, I took it back out here to this other limb and I went around it and I tightened my climbing system. The throw ball string is gone. So I set my climbing rope and my climbing system would be right here. Okay, and then there's the rest of it, my rope coming down. My climbing system being there, what I would do is I would clip these two ropes together and I would make sure there's some slack in it. And I would just clip a carabiner to it and bear claw or bear climb my way across it, clipped into it like that, and I would transfer myself all the way over. It does help. You could probably put a stopper knot like below your tie-in so it can't slip, or just make sure that it's set right. A stopper knot would be nice, but after you climb yourself all the way over, your climbing system is still over here. And that's the part where it doesn't make sense for some people. But what happens is after you get over here, you're standing right here now. You're going to take that system and just start to pull one side, like pull this side. And you'll pull it until you get, I about used the blue one, until you get this whole thing back to where you had it. So you'll just start pulling on like this part, and what happens is it starts to move, and as it moves this way, what happens is your climbing system's coming to you, and eventually you get your climbing system back to you. You would take your climbing system, unclip it, retrieve your rope back, pull the whole thing over, set up here, double, and now you're over here. So that's how I do it. It's probably not the only way to do it. I'm sure there's probably other cooler, faster, better ways. That's just the way I do it. So if you have any questions, tips, pointers that I didn't discuss or show, let me know. If not, yeah, that's basically what a lot of these live feeds are just going to be for the most part. It's just sharing stuff. I had a topic for this one. I cannot believe I just can't remember even what it was. And I'm sure about the time this live feed is ending, it'll come to me. But I'm going to be so aggravated if it does. But maybe I can do it next week. But whatever it was, it pertained to someone's video. Like I'd seen a video, and I'm like, that's messed up. That's a good topic. I want to discuss that. So I even went back before I left to go to the store, and I was watching old stuff from the week before, like trying to like remind myself, and it just didn't spark anything. So kind of bummed on that, but it is what it is. Here. Oh, and those were these things here are my rigging rings that I made for you guys for the little uh, demonstration things. It's a ring to ring sling. So goofy. But I've people leave comments and be like, that really helped me, you know, seeing it, not just hearing it. I'm like, that's awesome. That's cool. Okay, sorry, I haven't been paying attention for a second. Oh, Greg left. See you, brother. Appreciate you. Some tornadoes around you the other day, GP. That's real cool, Mike. Thanks, Dan. Yeah, that's just a neat little technique to know. I'm sure there could be a situation where that would be useful. Um, who knows if it's in a survival situation, you could travel across a cliff without having to climb all the way down and go back up. If you had a whole bunch of good rope on you, which and a throw ball and a throw line and a treble hook. So, thanks, James. What advice do you have for new climbers? Chippy is beside. Um, there's just so many steps. I'd say if you're looking for comfortability, you can like here's a tip for if you're feeling uncomfortable or you'll start to sketch yourself out. Looking down at the ground or looking up at where you're going can be extremely overwhelming for a new climber. You can get to where you stress yourself out. You know the things you got to do. It seems so far, especially those first times, but you forget that this tree is right here. Like this is that's a long ways that away, but like the tree is right here. You know, contact with it in multiple ways is as good as it gets. The bow-leggedness is a very important thing. Being pigeon, or I guess it would be like penguin feet. With your feet out because what you're getting in is you're being able to spike in with your legs out and you almost learn to stand like that and you don't have to put a ton of effort. A really good tip that I think that a guy should do before he goes up, this is one of those real things that I was like focusing on when I was going to do mine, is the lanyard thrust. Usually when a guy's learning to climb for the first time, he's got spikes on, he's headed up. Moving that lanyard is it's the cherry on the sundae for overwhelming a person. It's scary enough to be able to trust them spikes, trust that saddle, trust that you're going to stay onto the tree, and then what happens is then you're repeatedly forced to be moving this lanyard. So that overwhelms a person because they have all these other things that they're trying to focus on at that time, and that just repeated moving of the lanyard, forcing their body to go from back and relax to in, is very tricky. And what I would suggest is for a climber to stay at the base, find a short, like a skinnier one at the base, and do a 3-step boom, boom, boom. If you want to do 4, fine. You should be practicing that 4 steps, boom, 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 repeatedly, low, and learning that hip thrust with the lanyard, step, step, thrust, and it's almost like a with your arms flipping up. you don't so much throw yourself in, but you start to work that lanyard, and you'll realize if you keep a hold of the outside of the lanyard, say you only hold it with your fingertips, you have your hands still on the tree, but I try to hold and then I lean forward and I flip. That flip motion, if you get used to that, staying at the bottom, putting your spikes in, and putting your lanyard on, and then going 1, 2, flip, 1, 2, go back down. And practice the going down one too. It's a different technique. Those two things, if you practice those two techniques, I promise you, you're going to feel incredibly comfortable, way more comfortable when you go up, because you don't you a technique's hard enough to learn on the ground, but at height it becomes extremely scary. So practice that flip and the movement of the lanyard low and slow. Then as you go above that, you get really a lot more comfortable. But I think that's the majority of the movement, is that part, the ability to be able to pull the hips in. But you need to, like, think of this: to go in and to get that lanyard, give it slack so you can move it up, doesn't require your whole front of you to go forward and your legs to go, like, it only requires your hips. So you could be leaning back in your saddle, and as you go boom boom, your hips go in, not your chest. You may need to, if you're too far back, you may have to bring your chest forward to do it. But if you're pretty straight up, you just kind of move your hips in instead of bringing your whole body in. That way you're still leaning back. Leaning back is your friend, because it will force the spikes in. Leaning back will force that lanyard to create pressure against the back of the tree. All the leaning back is going to put the weight on the D's and onto your hips where it should be. Leaning at that back at that angle and into the saddle, and what I say is, you put your weight in your ass, like into your hips, like put it there, because a lot of times you're trying to hold all your weight on your feet, because they're what's touching the tree and they're what's spiked in. So you're like stressing your legs like crazy, and I feel like that's what tires a lot of guys. That may have been a little bit too much, a little overwhelming, but there's my 2 cents. I'll put a video out on it eventually, but I think it's going to require a lot of notes and stuff ahead of time, because I want to do it once and that's it. So yeah, he seemed like he had got up there. His work on the way down was very nice. Um, yeah, I think that's awesome, man. You could even give these guys a little extra peace of mind by using the kind of the double. If you get a guy that's really scared and he's terrified to kick out, there is a cheater way to go up, with just using the lanyard. And I guess it's not actually cheating, but instead of using your lanyard normal, oh, there's my green marker. I forgot I had a green one. So you go around and you have it back to you here, okay? Okay, so you're lanyarded in. You got one piece over here, one here. Now, as they're going up, you're gonna have your hands in here, and you're gonna do the hip thrust. Hips in, and then they go back out to move it down. Hips in, up, down. So it's a quick motion. That little stop gets me every time, doesn't it? So here's the cheat. So instead of being around like this, you take an additional wrap. So what you're going to end up with is more of a cinching type knot. So you're here, your adjuster's over here, your clip's right here. You're just going to take it around an extra time, the clip end. And what you get left with is this. And I suggest this to a lot of guys. on their way up because this is safer if they're afraid they're gonna kick out. And then what you do is you put some slack into the system and you grab both like this and you work your way up like that and you can hold it in your hands. If you was to slip, what happens is boom, they lock together and you can't slide down the tree because of the cinch there. So just a little hack if you get somebody you're worried, but the problem is going to be is now this is going to be harder, much harder to move up this tree than a single wrap would be to move up the tree. A single wrap is going to be much easier, but that double wrap you're going to have to feed some slack into it and work it up. So, but he looked like he was moving along pretty good from what I seen. Um, and just not overwhelming yourself with looking down and stressing about all that stuff. You're going to get there unless you're some special, super amazing climber that's just above and beyond most. You're going to get there 6 inches at a time, man. Like each step's about 6 inches, 4 to 6 inches. If you're taking smaller ones, that's how far you should be looking ahead. You know, you stop and you can examine up above you quite a ways just to make sure. But like, if you find yourself getting nervous, focus to go tunnel vision. Don't be so like, wow, this thing's enormous. Oh my God, there's so far to go. That's what I feel like overwhelms most people. And it's the same thing with doing groundwork. If you show up and there's a mess, it's insane. You're just overwhelmed right from the get go. But if you just start grabbing pieces, before you know it, it looks manageable. So yeah, Dan, it's really that's a really good trick on smooth bark trees. I think they should show that to guys when they do telephone poles. You know, it would probably be really nice for that. But yeah, that's what I got. I mean, him and my son did pretty good. Oh, there's your son. That's awesome. I didn't get to see all the end of the video. I ended up leaving the house to go down to the store, but yeah, I seen him get started and looked like he was doing good. Actually, no, I did see it all because I seen you talking to him when he was on the ground, talking about that position and staying straight, like getting your body weight up and putting it into your hips instead of bending your knees and trying to hold everything in your thighs and stuff. Like you want to hold it in your up in your chest, in your torso, in your hips, like here more than down here. Because when this area is gone and exhausted, you're in trouble. You need it. So that's incredible. If they're that comfortable in spurs, that's a hell of a start. Just wearing spurs and being able to go up 5 to 6 feet is awesome. Every time I've ever really tried to show somebody how to use spikes, they get overconfident. They end up sliding back down and slipping and like I don't know. I have a video of helping Dave try to climb, and what I'll do, and you may try this, take and I throw a throw line up over, and I'll set a rope and clip it in, just like rock climbing, how you have a spotter, and I'll spot them as they're going up. It gives them a little bit of relaxation, and there's a safety line there just in case. So, what's up, Gary? How you doing, brother? What's up, brother? So, the tagline or the security line it helps a lot, and then you can lower them down too. Because I've had guys get up there and then they're exhausted. They're saying they're about to fall, so you have to almost lower them down. But I had Dave, and I waited for him to get close to the ground. I just let go of the rope, and he went on to his butt. But that's only because I had to tease him because he acted like he was going to do it all perfect, and he was going to just run up the tree, and he got a quick rude awakening. But it's not easy. I don't care what anybody says. I've never seen anybody just pick them up and do it. Um, I can't ever remember struggling with them, but If I was able to use them when I first put them on, it was only because I had an ignorant, false confidence from watching my dad do it all my life that I just thought that that's what we do. Like, I didn't know anybody else that did that. I thought that's just what us hillbillies do. We're crazy. We'll do that. Like, so I think I may have had a weird confidence about it, and maybe I did. I was able to use them from the get go, but I'm sure that's not normal. So skinny trees are tough. Skinny trees are very tough. That's why that double wrap technique is very useful because on a skinny tree, you'll find yourself feeling like you're falling side to side. Where on a larger diameter tree, you don't have that because your arms are more out. When your hands are in here, you start to get tippy because you almost want, when you're on a skinny tree, you almost want to bring your torso and you need to be in closer to the tree. Because what happens is your diameter from what you're holding on to, if it's way out here, you could be all the way in or all the way out, but you're still pretty comfortable on a wide diameter tree. But what happens is when you bring your hands in and you're holding something small, the distance here is way greater than this, so you start to get tippy to one way or the other. So if you bring yourself in and go a little closer than you normally would on the skinny trees, that helps. And that double wrap technique will make it so it locks both hips. The the sway factor, it takes that away. That's my favorite reason for that technique. I usually use it with my lanyard for work positioning. If I find myself where I'm like tied in way out over here and I'm hooked over here, but I need my hips turned, but my climbing system wants to pull me this way, I can do that double wrap and I can adjust one hip or the other one with that technique. And what it does, it locks the hips instead of with a normal lanyard setup where it's just one strap around or one rope around. You're swaying back and forth and it's moving. So if you find that happening, I would try that. Or even taking your rope, wrapping it around, and then clipping it together with a carabiner. So it would be like around the tree and coming back to you here. Like say we're around the tree here, and you can take and clip a carabiner, clip them two together, and then what happens is when you tighten it up, this ends up cinching on the tree because of the carabiner, and you can tighten all this up, and then you've got that same technique. Well, you have the same effects of the double wrap technique by just adding a carabiner, and when it drops and you put weight into this part, it sucks this in, which bites down on the tree more. But you know, they're both good. My first time, I ran up the tree to about 30-ish feet and locked up. Yeah, yeah, it I've I've been there just the other day. I actually got up in one. It looked okay. After I got up in it, I'm like, I can't do this. I'm gonna have to get down. Like, and I'll put the video out soon. Um, I just I don't. I think I'm pushing it. And then like I was bumming because we had wasted the day, drove forever, and I was like ah. And on that time, like I had this weird. I always say trust your gut, but I did have this thing in the back of my mind. It was like, you ever have them trees where you feel like you got away with one, or yeah, that's basically what I. If I could like simplify it down, I feel like I get away with something. Like I did something wrong almost, and I got away with it. Maybe I played the system a little bit, but there's been many times throughout my 25, 6, something like a 20 over 25-year climbing that I feel like I got away with something. Um, I told myself when I'm up in the tree, I should get down. This is not right. This is unsafe. Or I this, that. And a lot of times I feel like I've overwhelmed myself by those things that I was telling you about. Peace Love Productions. I dig the name. Peace Love Productions. Um, yeah, I really dig that. That's awesome. But I think I have overwhelmed myself. I start to think of, well, what if I can't do this? Then I start to think of all those repercussions. Well, who all's going to miss out? What all I'm messing up? Who I'm stopping? You know, there's multiple people down the line that are dependent on this to be done so they could do what they got to do this, to do this. And I start to stress. And, but at the same time, I feel like it was doable, but I was questioning myself if it was something I could do on that day almost. If that makes any sense. You know, I like knew I could do it, but I'm like, is this the one? And I just terrified. Like I feel like I had my one already and I don't want another one. So like when I got down, I literally walked over to Jake, fist bumped him, and thanked him for keeping me alive another day. That's how scary it was. But and I was dead serious when I said it. That was no joke. If I was smiling, it's because I was happy. It wasn't because I was trying to be funny. I was so serious, and yeah, I think you know the value of that rope guy. Like you have a lot. I don't know if sometimes they know what is actually in their hands. Like a life, a lot of times is in your hands, and the way you do something could take a life or save a life. Like Jake left there, and he should have left feeling like a hero because he was. He kept me alive. Because with this rigging setup, we had to rig these pieces out. It was going to smash the house if not, or it was going to hit the high voltage wires or the fence. So they had to be rigged. And if he locked one piece up, this system, it was so rickety, broken, and like rotten that I had it spread out all throughout the street. It would have said crush, and everything would have crashed down. So yeah, a huge shout out to Jake. He's cooler than the other side of the pillow, but I have a really gnarly one coming up. Maybe I'll do some live feeds at it. We'll see. But I had a let's see, I had a bad accident 4 years ago, and since my accident, I got vertigo once in a while, and that sucks in a tree. Yeah, yeah, I could see that. I don't know what to say about that. Like that's I think doing some of them steps like focusing more tunnel vision and staying focused on what's directly in front of you could maybe help a little bit to maybe it's not going to cure that kind of stuff, but it's going to focus you a little bit maybe. And so I get like there are days where I just feel like my balance isn't as good as others. So I feel like I used to have this wild, ignorant. And what's funny is like I don't rig like I used to. I used to go overboard. I used to rig enormous stuff and just send it. And when I fell, I didn't fall because my rigging setup broke. I didn't fall because I made a mistake and cut the wrong thing or cut a piece of equipment. I fell because I got complacent, tried to micromanage too many things that was going on the ground, and didn't pay attention to what I was doing. And I was moving down a spar that I had just gotten all the way to about a 40-foot stem. I think the shorts have came out. I showed them, but yeah, and I fell apparently backwards and cracked my back, my pelvis, knocked my two ribs up out of my chest, and I pressed them back down in there, and they were like poking out here, like gnarly, and I popped them back, and now my sternum's not connected, and I get these like bam, bam, like crazy sharp pains in my back now. But I'm just grateful to be able to just still get up there. So this isn't. This is far from your typical job. This is definitely not a game. Like, and it's just not normal. A normal everyday job, you in normal everyday tasks, if you mess up, you just redo it. You try again. You could take one mess up. You don't get redos in this. So like, I just want everybody to like, be a sponge. Soak up anything you can learn to keep yourself safe because the work is scary and dangerous enough. You have to do everything to put the odds in your favor by learning as much knowledge as you can. And maybe you don't use that stuff every day, but it's going to be stored back in your head. And when you hit those situations or scenarios, that knowledge will pop up and it could save you. So I think that's one thing I would say to new climbers. Really take it in. There's an insane amount. There is a million times more information and knowledge out there for a new climber than there was when I started climbing. The internet didn't even exist. So it's like, well, maybe it existed. It had just been like invented. So I'd say when I was around 15. Like taking mushrooms and going to cut a tree down. That'd be gnarly. I think I could. I would probably be totally fine doing. I don't know. I don't know how I would be on. Like, I don't know. I should shut up. But yeah, I think I could handle it because I feel like personally I'm not comfortable around most people. Maybe I'm not as comfortable in my own skin. Like, I'm not a real social person. Um, but when I'm on location and I am put in a tree or I'm put at a site where something needs to be done, I feel like I shine. I come out of my shell. That's where I'm supposed to be. So it would take a lot for me to feel like uncomfortable, or maybe I couldn't do it. But yeah, I don't know if I could do all that. That's that's something. Then how do you make that video? Doing tree work on mushrooms? Maybe I should. Maybe that's the next thing. Maybe I should just start doing heavy, hard drugs and doing tree work. Maybe that's what it'll be. No, I'm just kidding. It makes me a lot slower and methodical in decision making. That's for sure. Yes, just concentrating on one spot help. Yeah, I can imagine, brother. I totally get that. That makes sense. I fell off a crane and landed on a fence in 2003 or 2004. Well, Chris wins. Crispy fell off a crane. Daniel! There's Daniel. What's up, brother? What's up, brother? How old are you? I am 40. And how many years do you think you've been doing tree? Well, my dad did it my whole life, so I probably I probably climbed my first tree around like 12 or so. Um, but like it was so it just I was so small, and about 15, I really got to where I would go, help and stuff like that. So I'd say 25 years or so, a little over 25. Um, actually, climbing, doing actual cutting and all that stuff, I'd say about 25. I think most people nowadays would say 20 even if they had 2 years experience, or if they seen a pair of spikes when they were 10 years old but maybe they didn't start wearing them till they were 17, they would say, they would count it from when they seen it. There's a there's a weird sense of trying to embellish how long you've done something and how to boost your experience level. But what happens there is it ends up to come back and bite you because, like, if you're a guy that's got 20 years experience, which I have many of them, that's the go-to in my area on their business cards and on everything. 20 plus years experience, local, born and raised. This kind of. I've been here my whole life. I've never met you. It's all I've ever seen, all I've ever done, and I've never met you. And you're just looks like when a lawn guy goes and just decides to cut down a tree, and you're telling people you got 20 years experience and that's what you go do. So I feel like that kind of talk can come back to bite them. But for those that don't know, Daniel is Daniel is the guy that I was planning on interviewing on the channel. I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag. Daniel has a lot of experience in tree work. He has a whole lot of experience when it comes to YouTube too. So he's been making YouTube videos and was probably one of the he was like top five guys that did tree work on YouTube when I got on it. So Daniel's an OG. So and I definitely Daniel I've things have been very chaotic and I'm sure it'll calm down here soon. I do still want to do that and get you in there, but yeah. How much longer are you thinking you have left in? Well, probably a long time, man. I don't feel. I still love every bit of it and don't have any struggles. Like, I do this on two blown out knees, and I love every single bit of it. And I love it more now than I ever did. So I don't know, man. I really don't know. I'd say I can confidently look at you guys like and tell you I think I'll be climbing till I'm 60 at the earliest. Like I feel like it'll go past that even. But I may be wrong. I've burnt the candle at both ends my whole life, so I mean, I can't really say much. Maybe I'm greatly exaggerating, but if I'm just being straight up honest, I think I got another 20 left in me, and probably not going to be my best 20, but yeah, I definitely see things not slowing down, not anytime soon. I feel like I'm better than I've ever been, and I just keep getting better. What would be fun? Yeah, come on. Oh, you guys are funny. Hope everyone has an awesome night and be safe out there. Great live feed, buddy. Right on, Jay. Thank you, brother. Stay safe. Good luck to you, Chippy, and your boy. Stay safe at work. I'll be keeping up with your videos, so keep them coming. Let's see. Money bags. Sorry, my phone's got a crack, so I gotta move it some. Not Bob? Money bags, not Bob? That's a sick name. I climbed poles for 43 years. That's so awesome. That's so awesome. I've loved to hang out. That's basically what Gary. That's what that's what we do here. So if you ever have any questions, don't hesitate. My body is all wired out. Yeah, I feel you, brother. I'm 46 and feel like I have at least two more decades in me. That's so awesome. I love it. I love it. Um, And I'm when I say, and Daniel, when I say that 20 years, I'm saying 20 more years in the saddle. You're gonna find me killed over underneath it. Well, with the 660 in my hand, making a stump cut. That's just me, man. I feel like that's what the bucket trucks and stuff are there for. Probably not too long in my future, something like that is gonna have to be. I'm gonna have to move in that direction. But yeah, that's the reason I've never gotten into them and never gotten one, and like used them all the time. I love the climbing part of it, and but I know I better appreciate it because it's not forever. I have to go the other way. I stopped counting at 40 years in the biz. That's awesome, brother. That is awesome. Wore out. That's what I figured you meant, Moneybag. Had a pole fall with me on it. Back in the. Oh, dang. That sucks. That's gnarly, though, bro. The fact that you had that happen and lived, it just makes you a thug. Uh, had to be. That must have been crazy. Drove myself to the hospital emergency, ruptured one kidney. Yeah, when I fell, I drove myself home. I had them drag me and put me in my truck. I drove myself home, and I uh, I went through a drive-through and like got something to drink, and I was in pain, like serious pain. But it was almost like numb. But I knew things were messed up. I knew my ribs were sticking out, like all kinds of crazy stuff. So like I knew I was messed up. But I was like I was able to somewhat kind of walk to get to the truck. Like not really. The guys were basically lifting me, but I was like I think I'm gonna be okay. Maybe the ribs is all that happened. So when I pulled up to my place, I went to get out of the truck. I crumbled and fell to the ground. I couldn't stand. And I drug myself with my legs basically feeling dead to the tailgate of my truck and lifted myself up on it. Which at the time, all I had was my upper body because my hips felt like they were broke, and I lifted myself up, but my rib cage was messed up, so that hurt too. And my wife came out, and her and my daughter carried me inside. Well, I put an arm over each one, and I kind of walked my way in. But yeah, I suffered through that. I didn't go to get anything done, no medicine. I took ibuprofen and soaked my body in biofreeze repeatedly, and just suffered. I feel like I made the mistake. I'll suffer. That's uh, that's the mindset of a recovering addict that I've dealt with enough. I don't need to go to the emergency room and get a prescription of pain medication that I may instantly become addicted on again. So I'm 71 and not worn out, but am rusted out. That's awesome, brother. That's a big difference, though. Something that's rusty is still useful. So, guys, first of all, I want to thank everybody. It's been a really cool live feed. I've got to meet a lot of new people. Daniel, thanks for swinging in. Moneybags, good conversation. I appreciate you guys. I have. Oh, thanks, brother. I I have another video that'll come out for you guys. Oh yeah, where I smashed the playground. Damn it. But you'll get to see that whole story, and it's pretty close. So I'll try to get that up for you tomorrow, maybe. So Dan, Gary, shoot, who all was here? I mean, there's so many of you guys. Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys swinging in, always being here. You guys are the best. John, what's up, brother? Yeah, maybe, John. I hit it again though. You'll see on the video. You guys are the best. Thank you guys. Stay safe. Have a good week. And as always, if I can help you with anything, I think that's why they put the comment section there. Leave a comment. I'll get to it. Catch you next time. See you, brothers.